Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at construction on the Broadway Subway Project in Vancouver, Canada in January of 2025. This is a 5.7 kilometer extension of the Millennium Line with 6 new underground stations. With an updated cost of $2.95 billion, major construction started in May of 2021 with the planned opening for fall 2027. Along with the current state of the project, we will take a look back to December of 2023 to see how much work has been completed in the last year, as well as some notable buildings along the route, such as at VCC Clark, where the new mass timber building that will house ICBC now has its distinctive exterior cladding. Starting at the east end of the project, the 700-meter elevated section is another step closer to having rails installed. The track slab has been marked up and drilled in preparation for rail pads. Here we can see the holes for both the rail pads and the center linear induction rail. The linear induction rail is what SkyTrain uses to pull itself along the tracks. The rail pads are sitting up on the parapets, waiting to be installed. At the first switch to the center pocket track, crews are working inside this large white tent, concreting the switches into place. The concrete needs to be kept warm while curing to prevent any cracks or structural issues. We can see large heaters sitting outside the tent piping hot air inside. The switch on the west end has already gone through this process. The newly completed track slab has many cutouts where the moving parts of the switches will be installed. Rail pads have also been installed here, as well as some rail on each side of the switches. Under the guideway, this parking lot has been cleared of construction equipment and returned to the business. Under the guideway by the works yard hasn't seen much change, but now all remaining tunnel segments are gone. The specialty vehicles used during tunnel construction are stored here. They transported all the tunnel segments to the tunnel boring machines and moved crews in and out of the tunnels. More rails, power rails, and limb rail have arrived in the works yard. 2025 is going to be a big year for installing running rails and supporting parts throughout the tunnels and guideway. Pipes for the water and sprinkler systems in stations and tunnels are in the yard as well. Looking back a year, the works yard was still full of tunnel segments as both TBMs were still working their way to Arbutus Station. The guideway was a flat slab with crews building forms for parapets and concreting deck slabs into place. The slope transition section was just some foundations and sidewall footings. Now, it's a complete structure. The track slabs here have been marked and drilled, ready for rail. There's also a large cutout in the wall on the south side. This is both for construction access and rail vehicle access once the line opens. There are only a handful of these access points on the network where the guideway briefly runs at grade. This will be the last access point between here and UBC as the whole line is expected to be underground. Crews are finishing the track slab joints between the slope transition and underground section. Great Northern Way Emily Carr Station is quickly approaching the fully enclosed stage of construction. The short cut and cover is completely covered now. The station box only has one area where the platform level is exposed. That's where the TBM spoil conveyor belts exited the station. Crews are installing rebar and conduit on the concourse level at the south end of the station. This is where ventilation equipment will be installed. The square-shaped forms are where air will be forced down to the platform and tunnels below. This part of the concourse floor couldn't be built until the TBM equipment was removed and the concrete work completed within the tunnels as it was used for access. More exterior walls on the head house are complete, with forms going up for the next sections. Looking down from above, we can see that the stairs are complete as well. The gaps are where the escalators will be installed on each side of the stairs. Directly beside the head house, the area has been cleared and a layer of concrete poured. The site will be handed over to the building developer soon to start construction on the 3 new towers and public plaza. Looking back a year, forms for the first section of the concourse level were being set up. The head house was just a concrete slab, and the site's focus was supporting tunneling operations. Over at Mount Pleasant Station, another major milestone has been met. The head house street level slab is complete. Riders will walk in from the street and take the escalators, elevator, or stairs down to the concourse level. On top, we can see rebar sticking out, marking where the last set of walls will be built. With the head house structure nearing completion, the last supporting struts have been removed. They supported the pit wall from collapsing during construction. The plate that connected it to the wall is visible, as is the connection point. There's still a lot of concrete work to do inside. This concrete pumper truck is placing more concrete on the lower level. In the station box, the concourse level is complete, sealing off the platform level from view. Crews are still working on the interior walls and supports, as well as the last few station box walls on the west end. The roof section of the box is also being formed up. The vertical loop pieces of rebar give us an idea as to how thick the roof section will be once completed. To make sure it's solid enough to last and survive any seismic events, tons of rebar will be used. A steady supply of rebar is being craned down into the station. The emergency exit on the south side has had a temporary set of stairs installed for access, whereas the north side now has ventilation pipe for providing fresh air to the tunnels and platform level. A year ago, the headhouse concourse level had just been poured, making the pit look rather empty compared to today. Down in the station box, only one section of the concourse slab had been completed, and the TBM conveyors were moving spoil through the station. Over at Broadway-City Hall, another major milestone has been met. The section that holds the first underground crossover points has had its roof completed. Now when we look down from the no-frills parking lot, all we see is the concrete roof ready to be backfilled. Further along where the station concourse level starts, more large square holes are visible for the ventilation system. Although hard to see, crews are working on the interior and exterior walls in this section. Progress is being made on the station entrance. On the east side, where the escalators, elevators, and stairs will take riders from street level down to the Millennium Line concourse level, is taking shape. Concrete was just poured for the base slab at the Canada Line platform level. From here, escalators and stairs will go both up and down. Looking down, the pit for the end of the escalators has been formed. The bottom pit for the elevators has been formed as well. The clean patch of wall is where the elevator lobby will eventually connect to the entrance area. The slab that connects the head house to the station box is almost ready to be poured. On the west side of Cambie, the other connection is having rebar put in place on the sloped area where escalators will be installed. 3 escalators will be installed here, with an elevator at the north end right by the cross passage. There will be much more foot traffic between the Canada Line and Millennium Line than the street level. That's why more escalators are being installed between the 2 levels. The semicircle shaped form used to construct the cross passage under the Canada Line, the main concourse, is visible. Here's a photo of it from the summer as a section is formed. The project has an excellent Flickr album with close-up photos and short descriptions of the work. I highly recommend checking it out after this video. I'll leave a link below. The Vancouver City Hall has chosen a design for its expansion featuring several new office buildings and a plaza that will extend down to Broadway. It will also include a second entrance to the subway from the north. Last year at this time, excavation was still underway on the east side of the entrance, and the station box was still working on low-level walls and the platform level. If a station could be given an award for most improved, it would be Oak-VGH. The progress over the past 13 months has been phenomenal. In December of 2023, Phyllis, the TBM boring the eastbound tunnel, was still sitting in the station box waiting to be launched. Now, with tunneling complete, the platform level was fully built and the concourse level is just about done. The easternmost section is still being formed out, but it will be poured soon. In December of 2023, the bottom level of the head house was being prepared for its first level. Now the bottom level is done, and the concourse level is in place, along with interior and exterior walls. Supporting forms to build the next level are being put in place. As with the other 5 stations on the line, Oak-VGH will be fully enclosed by the end of 2025. Road decks are scheduled to be removed in 2026 after the stations are backfilled. South Granville Station has always been hard to view, but it's much easier now that crews are working on the station box concourse level. There's lots of activity to see as preparation for the next level of interior and exterior walls takes shape. Temporary tunnel ventilation is in place on the west end of the station. The 39-story building above the station entrance is expected to have residents and businesses move in later this year. At street level, the entrance is now clearly identifiable, including where the station sign will go above the entrance. Inside, the escalators that will bring riders from street level to the concourse level have been installed. There's a large gap between the building and the station box. These are two separate projects. By keeping the station box within the footprint of the road, there won't be conflict points with future buildings. Looking back, last year only the station box base slab was complete, waiting for both TPMs to arrive, and the tower was still gaining height. Finally, we arrive at Arbutus Station. Just like Broadway-City Hall, there will be another set of switches before the station on the east end. Most of that section has been closed in, although there is still access at the east end since concrete work is still ongoing in the tunnels between here and South Granville. We can see a very small ready-mix truck that's used to transport concrete into the tunnels. Concrete is used to fill the very bottom of the tunnel to make a flat surface, which the track slab is then built on top of. Parts of the station box concourse level roof have been completed, with another section being prepared. This is on the east end of the station, as on the west end, no other levels have been built yet, as the area is being used to access and build the twin 60-meter tail track tunnels. Here's a photo with two people pointing in the distance in the tail tunnels. The yellow dots are part of a laser measuring system used by surveyors to make sure the tunnels are being built to the right dimensions. Here's a photo from the concourse level looking inside the station box. We can see the thickness of the completed roof section. The metal slats at the top are the bottom of the road deck. The Arbutus head house will be made up of 4 levels. The bottom 2 are complete, with the 3rd level now under construction. Riders won't interact with this level as the escalators and elevators skip over it, but it has a lot of space for transit employees and their work. It also includes spaces for bus drivers since Arbutus Station will have a bus loop. We can see the 3rd level half done, with more forms in place for the slab. The exterior walls are also being prepared to finally reach street level. Arbutus will also have a second station entrance in the TransLink-owned tower across Broadway on the south side. That's what this access area is for. A year ago, only the base slab had been poured and waterproof membrane was being installed. In the station box, the base slab was in place, and crews were preparing for the arrival of the TBMs, including welding the steel ring of the tunnel portal. Looking ahead, 2025 should be a very productive year for the project. Anyways, that concludes our look at the Broadway Subway Project in January of 2025. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.